Turkish authorities are targeting contractors allegedly linked to buildings that collapsed in the February 6th earthquakes. The quakes have so far left more than 33,000 people dead in Turkey and Syria. Rescuers continue to find survivors in both countries, but 1 week after the disaster, hopes are fading for most of those who are beneath the rubble. Nazvi Karim has more.
In the city of Adıyaman in southern Turkey, rescue teams searching for survivors rummaged through rubble of buildings that should have survived last week's earthquake and aftershocks. With growing cries across the country for justice, video footage showed the Sunday arrest of a property developer responsible for many buildings in Adıyaman and his wife as they tried to flee Istanbul for Georgia. Turkey's Vice President Fuat Oktay said more than 130 suspects have so far been identified. With shelter a major problem for most survivors, football's world governing body, FIFA, and Qatar are sending the first batch of 306 furnished container cabins, fitted with kitchens and bathrooms, to Turkey. Around 10,000 containers and caravans used to house budget fans during last year's World Cup in Qatar will be delivered. Back at Ground Zero, looting remains a major problem for authorities trying to maintain security. Some shopkeepers are removing goods to prevent them from being stolen, while the Turkish military has increased its presence with soldiers patrolling the streets, trying to keep property and lives safe. In Syria, politics and a conflict that has fractured the nation are hindering relief efforts, especially in getting aid and resources to rebel-held areas such as Idlib. The United Nations has called for all sides to put aside their differences. This after one of its convoys was prevented from crossing into Idlib by rebel group Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, which issued a statement saying liberated areas do not have crossings with the criminal regime. They were referring to the Syrian government of Bashar al-Assad.
We are mobilizing funding and we're trying to tell everyone, put politics aside. This is the time to unite behind a common effort to support the Syrian people.
In a briefing, the World Health Organization said Assad had agreed to open more crossings for aid delivery. The body also warned about the spread of disease.
There's the risk of infectious diseases, again, because of the overcrowding, because of this disruption of water and sanitation. We already had pre-existing outbreaks of cholera and measles, so we're working to step up our control of infectious diseases.
Nazvi Karim, TVB News.
Back in the city, a free flow tolling service, HKE Toll, was initially to be rolled out at Changsha Control Area in late February. However, the Transport Department today said the launch of the new system will be postponed to May 7th. Christy Khan reports.
Initially, the government's new HKE toll system was to be implemented in Changsha Control Area on February 26th. New tolling system is set to replace the existing payment system and allow motorists to pay remotely using toll tags. But the Transport Department today said authorities have decided on a postponement, rescheduling the launch date for May 7th. Prior to the initial launch, motorists and vehicle owners were seen flocking to different HKE toll customer service centers and service outlets to apply for vehicle tags. Some said they failed to get vehicle tags. Also, some taxi drivers complained that the class tags were out of stock. Speaking to reporters today, Commissioner for Transport Rosanna Law said the government decided to delay the launch. She added that authorities hope the postponement will give motorists more time to get familiar with the new tolling system as well as apply for vehicle tags or set up their HKE toll accounts. A local union representative revealed that some staff members working at the Changsha Control Area were requested by the company to continue working until further notice. And he says this abrupt announcement by the government had created confusion. The Motor Transport Workers General Union today also protested against the new HKE toll system, saying it was not reasonable to charge drivers who are not vehicle owners for a $120 account card. This as the government is to send each registered vehicle owner a free vehicle tag under the current policy. And the union believes a free account cut should be distributed to hired drivers as well. The HK Ito's Customer Service Center in Kowloon Bay today offered walk-in services for motorists to apply for vehicle tax or class tax. Some applicants said they had spent about an hour completing the application procedure. Christy Khan, TVB News.
Meantime, some lawmakers suggested the government add temporary parking lots near the Hung-Yuen-Wai checkpoint. This is to resolve the problem of insufficient car park spaces. Many residents rushed across the border to the mainland via the Hung-Yuen-Wai checkpoint over the weekend. While the checkpoint's car park has over 400 parking spaces, it still could not cope with the demand. Legislator Edward Lau suggested that the government increase the number of temporary car parks near the checkpoint by using neighboring empty land. Cathay Pacific and Hong Kong Express have announced that more flights between the city and Japan in February and March have been canceled. That's part of Tokyo's ongoing entry restrictions for flights from the city. A total of 210 flights between Hong Kong and Tokyo, Osaka, Nagoya, and Fukuoka are being affected. Cathay Pacific noted it can only operate 72 flights to Japan per week. That's around 15 flights fewer than what was originally planned. While Hong Kong Express says up to 170 flights to and from Okinawa and Osaka will be canceled in March. Some travel agencies have to change the dates for tour groups and solo tourists who made plans to see the spring cherry blossoms. Hong Kong online brokerage platform BrightSmart Securities will suspend all securities accounts opened by mainland Chinese clients. This as Beijing steps up regulation to crack down on cross-border capital outflows. Jackie Lin reports.
BrightSmart Securities tanked more than 12% at the close after announcing the suspension of mainland client accounts. In a letter to their customers, the Hong Kong-based brokerage explained it is trying to proactively comply with the mainland's regulatory measures against illegal cross-border business by some Hong Kong security firms. Affected mainland customers will only be allowed to sell stocks but not buy equities starting this Thursday. They will also need to withdraw all funds in their accounts on or before February 23rd, or the money will be transferred back to their previously registered bank account. BrightSmart said the measure will be in effect until further relevant regulations are clarified by mainland authorities. BrightSmart said the move's scope of impact is small to the company because the major source of its revenue is mainly derived from Hong Kong clients, who account for some 98% of the group's revenue. According to state media reports, another mainland-based brokerage, Guotai Jun'an International, will no longer open accounts for mainland clients too. Existing customers are not affected for now. In December last year, the China Securities Regulatory Commission banned online security platforms Futu and the operator of Tiger Brokers from accepting new mainland customers to tap global stocks. That's among the strongest action yet to bar security firms from taking advantage of gray areas in the country's capital controls, which will be ramped up at the end of February. Local securities representatives are calling for more clarity over the latest regulatory measures from authorities.
In fact, it will affect the whole market sentiment. If the extent is extreme, that no Chinese investors will be allowed to open a securities account, we need to know what exactly will be the red line to structure our future policy.
Analyzing the latest move from the mainland, Associate Professor Billy Mack of the Department of Finance and Decision Sciences at the Hong Kong Baptist University said Beijing is likely aiming to reduce mainland citizens' investment in U.S. stocks. That's to limit the risks of Chinese investors holding U.S. dollar-based assets in case of sanctions imposed from America, Mack explained. Jackie Lin, TVB News.
Still ahead, the hospital authority will roll out its electronic medical certificate scheme. A mass protest by Spanish health workers in Madrid over healthcare cuts. And street parties in Rio de Janeiro ahead of the city's world-famous carnival. Welcome back. Starting on March 6th, the hospital authority will roll out its electronic medical certificate in a bid to gradually phase out the use of physical sick leave forms. The new certificate will also include a QR code for proof of authenticity and is part of a smart hospital digitalization plan. Timothy Lee tells us more.
At present, patients receiving clinical care can obtain physical sick leave forms with the doctor's signature when deemed appropriate by medical authorities. But an electronic upgrade will be due in 3 weeks. Beginning on March 6th, patients of public hospitals, clinics, or telemedicine platforms under the hospital authority could be issued the new electronic medical certificate as part of the HA's Smart Hospital project. Doctors will also provide electronic signatures for these certificates. Using the hospital authority's mobile app HA Go, patients can access their electronic sick leave documents issued within the past 2 years by tapping on My Record. They can also send the electronic sick leave forms to their employers, along with the QR codes for authenticity verification. The hospital authority noted that the smart hospital development aims to gradually adopt more electronic platforms for the healthcare experience and understands that it will take time for the public to adapt to the new system.
But I think the progress that will be going, we expect the next step that will be the patients or maybe our staff will be getting less and less to request for the physical copy of the electronic sick leave. For the smart hospital development, I think it's very hard to guess how can be the implications to everyone. We have the younger generation very well adapted to the new technology, whereas the elderly or maybe the elder staff, the older staff, the rather senior staff will be less adapted to it. We have to observe the progress.
For the smart hospital, we have the blueprint actually laid down in year 2018. But one of the key strategic directions, we want to improve or enhance the patient experience in the sense that that kind of experience, no matter it's inpatient setting, outpatient setting, in the community, how to integrate that kind of connectivity in between different settings.
The hospital authority noted that there is no concrete timeline for the full transition to the electronic medical certificate, and handwritten sick leave forms will still be available. The health administrative body stressed that the smart hospital development will continue to digitalize the patient's user experience. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
The city's largest national security trial involving 47 former pro-democracy figures continued today. Spotlighted today was defendant Ao Nok Hin. The former lawmaker was admitted as the first prosecuting witness in the case over the so-called 35-plus unofficial primary election. Jackie Lin reports.
Day 6 of the city's landmark political trial. One of the 47 opposition activists facing subversion charges, ex-lawmaker Ao Nok Hin was summoned to testify today as an accomplice witness for the prosecution. Taking the stand, Ao said in January 2020, the Pan Democrats noticed an article published in late 2019 on the now-defunct outlet Apple Daily written by former law professor of the University of Hong Kong, Benny Tai. The essay outlined Tai's vision for the Democrats winning a majority in the Legislative Council. That led to the first meeting with a legal scholar at a meal gathering with him, veteran Democrats Lee Wing-tat and Lee Chak-yen, as well as former chairman of the League of Social Democrats Raphael Wong. Ao told the court that the pro-democracy camp needed a coordinating mechanism for their election candidates, just like the pro-establishment side. Ao said Tai mentioned in the gathering how to flexibly use the district council seats won by Pan Democrats as well as media and online platforms to engage voters. The idea is to get elected proportionately with an aim to win 23 seats out of the 35 seats at a geographical constituency. When asked by the judge if Tai mentioned about vetoing the government's budget, Ao said Tai mentioned if their camp secured a majority at LegCo, that would be a lethal constitutional weapon allowing them to wield more clout to fight for the 5 demands raised amid the protest movement, including the vetoing of the budget. Jackie Lin, TVB News.
The Legislative Council began the first phase of its complex office expansion project, adding prefabricated units to the high block of its complex in Admiralty. President of the Legislative Council, Andrew Leung, said the new offices have special features that differ from existing ones. Leung expects the project to be finished in 2025. Mimo Sung-ai reports.
The Legislative Council complex is undergoing an expansion, and the first phase of the project is to add LegCo members' offices on the 11th to 14th floors of the complex using the assembly method. This is a sample of the prefabricated unit being used for future offices for LegCo members. While the size and floor height of the assembled office is similar to the existing ones, new features are hidden within the interior that makes these prefabricated offices special.
We are using this opportunity to use a lighter color so that the offices would be brighter, lighter and more modern for the legislator and their PA to work in. We have also improved on the environmental issue, lighting, and also the air condition.
In addition, the new offices will be more soundproof than the existing ones. Each assembly office will have sound insulation material built into the wall.
The prefabricated offices adopt a modern style, creating a warm and comfortable environment for LegCo members.
While furniture and appliances are featured in the sample unit, the future offices will only contain basic items for LegCo members. Mimosanai, TVB News.
In Spain, hundreds of thousands of health workers staged a mass protest in Madrid on Sunday over healthcare cuts by the regional government. Protesters packed the Plaza de Cibeles in front of the city hall, shouting slogans and waving flags. Municipal officials estimated that over 250,000 people rallied in the city center, while organizers put the number at nearly 1 million. A medical labor union said the public health care system in Madrid region is always in chaos, and the regional government has failed to take effective measures. Meantime, partygoers in Brazil have been taking to the streets of Rio de Janeiro 1 week before the city's world-famous carnival takes place. The carnival officially starts on Friday the 17th, but this was like a dry run for the celebrations that will come back in full on the weekend. Last year, smaller events happened, but without the backing of City Hall as the pandemic lingered. 80 street parties are listed for this weekend. That's the news. Thanks for watching. Pearl Magazine is up shortly. Bye for now.